besthotgrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at Best Hot Grill.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs, a very short guide, give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with your host, Tim Jones. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
So what this agreement does fundamentally is it requires Iran to behave like a normal country. And if it doesn't, as so many people think that it never will, then it doesn't get any of the economic benefits. And if they do, then that's a great thing for everybody. It's a great thing for the Kurds. It's a great thing for anybody who has been under the brunt or under the threat of Iranian-funded terrorist organizations. The expectation is that Iran will stop that, and if they don't get the benefits of the bargain.
Vice President J.D. Vance discussing the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding, the agreement to hopefully bring about peace in the Middle East. We'll be discussing that and more with Dr. Bob Onder, our congressional update, which occurs every Friday at 4:25. Happy Friday indeed. We're going to help take you into the weekend. All three of us back in studio today. Producer Joey V, along with his movie review, and Chris Arps here as well. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic today. Friday, beautiful weather today. It's supposed to be a stormy Father's Day on Sunday, but I think the next 2 days are supposed to be pretty good. Looking forward to doing a little grilling, getting outside, doing some yard work, and enjoying summer, my favorite time of the year.
It is a really fantastic summer here in the Heartland. We have not had much as far as brutal temperatures yet. In fact, last night was chilly almost.
It was. I actually wore my News Talk STL 3/4 in yesterday because it was a little chilly outside.
But I'm sure that'll change because we're here in Missouri, here in the Heartland, and we're just now getting into summer. I think if summer officially begins
21st, I think.
on the weekend, right? Yeah,
That's
Sunday.
21st,
Yeah, Sunday. Father's Day. Happy Dad's Day to all the great dads out there and all the father figures in your life. Hope everybody has a good Father's Day. If your dear old dad has gone ahead of you to the great beyond, I hope you have some peace and serenity this weekend. And I think it's just good in general, Chris, to celebrate fatherhood. You know, everybody, we often talk about how important mothers are, and they are, but we often talk about that two-pronged aspect of that nuclear family, and it's Nuclear Family Month. Oh, and it's Juneteenth today.
Why are we here? Today's a federal holiday. We should be off today. Jim and Jeff and Joe, are you listening?
Yeah, if you
especially as a black man, I should be off today.
Well, I was just going to ask you that. If you feel oppressed today, Chris, I'll be happy to file that lawsuit for you.
I do not feel oppressed today. I feel actually pretty good. You know, Juneteenth, of course, started in Texas.
Yeah.
The slaves in Galveston were the last to know that they were free. And, you know, Juneteenth has been a relatively new holiday. It's been a relatively new thing that has been celebrated. But my family, my mother and dad, who were from Texas, they used to celebrate Juneteenth when they were children and young adults. So it's good to see this event get a national holiday and the recognition that it duly deserves.
Yeah, it actually, to your point, it actually has a long history. It's just been made a federal holiday recently, but like a lot of holidays on our calendar, it has been celebrated for a long time before it was officially memorialized.
Probably 150 years by black folks.
I bet so. And it's very interesting that Texas is where it all began.
Yeah, Galveston, down there in the Gulf of Mexico. Slaves, they were the last ones to find out. I'm curious, Tim, dive into some issues here.
Yes.
Last night was the big ATF Amendment 5 event with Grover Norquist, who was in the studio with us yesterday. I'm curious to know how it went. Did Mr. Grover have some converts yesterday? What was the overall reaction of the crowd?
I think so. Chris, one of the comments from one of the folks who watched the event after it was done, we were able to live stream the event.
Oh, okay.
I need to send you a copy.
Yeah, do that, please.
Our friend Oscar Harrell, who does the Show Me Sentinel, he came with all his gear and his buddy James O'Brien. We had lights, we had cameras, everybody was mic'd up.
Did you put makeup on?
No makeup.
Okay.
There was a little glare, I think, on our foreheads. But it was recorded. So if anybody wants to watch that event, Chris, it was a great event.
Good.
If we could have every Missourian watch that event, and you can if you're listening to us because it is available online, I think everyone would understand how and why Amendment 5 is good for Missouri. You had a platinum panel last night. You had Grover Norquist of Americans for Tax Reform. You had Ann Schlafly, the daughter of Phyllis Schlafly, who is a huge proponent of Amendment 5. And, of course, that brings a lot of conservative cred because Missouri Eagle Forum. And then you had two of the best legislators on the issue because I swear to you this is true. The two of them, I do not believe, referred to a single note or anything. They have Amendment 5 memorized. They were quoting chapter and verse. And, Chris, we had a ton of questions from the audience, and we got through all of them. The crowd was about 65 people, and they were extremely polite and well-behaved. No catcalling, no hate-mongering, no anything. They sat there. You could see they were taking it all in, and I think it was an excellent event all around. So if we can get that word out there and have everybody in the state watch that, I think people would fully understand why Amendment 5 is a good revolution to occur to our tax system.
I got to tell you on a personal note, I put on my Facebook this morning the clip of Grover Norquist yesterday talking about why it's better to have a consumption tax than an income tax. And I got to tell you, it's gotten a lot of traction. It's well over 1,000 views on it.
Oh, excellent.
And I was expecting a lot of negative comments on it, but the comments have been a couple of negative comments, but most of the comments have been favorable, and it had got a lot of likes on it as well. So
good.
Maybe the propaganda that the other side has been perpetrating, maybe our side is getting through, and people are learning the facts on their own instead of what they're hearing from the naysayers.
Yeah, the opposition does not seem to be very deep as far as understanding the bill. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are confused or not fully understanding the proposal. I get it. Tax policy is not easy. I would encourage you to watch this video. Chris, I'll send it to you so you can look at it and repost it. It has over 2,000 views. I don't know if people have watched it for 5 minutes or for the whole hour, but it has over 2,000 looks at it and a bunch of likes and a bunch of shares. And so when you hear two guys like Representative Bishop Davidson and Ben Keithley analyze and explain and discuss this bill, coming from the position that they are younger guys who plan to stay in Missouri, they're not going to do anything as a follow-up piece of legislation that would hurt themselves, much less their families or their fellow Missourians. They said, we want this state to be better. Why would we want to raise the sales tax to some ridiculous level? That is not going to happen. We talked about all of our bordering states who have cut their income tax. And this was interesting, Chris. Everybody around us has a sales tax of somewhere between 5.5% to 7%. Everybody. And so there's no reason it would be insane for the legislature to propose something higher than that, because it would defeat the purpose of being competitive as we eliminate the income tax.
And I think
it was a great discussion.
And I think the argument that cuts on both sides, I think all agree, whether you are against this, on the fence, or support it. I think all people can agree that Missouri is falling behind our fellow neighboring
That's
states.
true.
We're losing population. The kids that go to college here are not staying here and raising families. And so Missouri has to do something before we fall even further behind. And this is the plan that's put forward to address that.
You're right about that. You know, we are starting, honestly, if you look at the economic metrics, we're starting to fall behind states we used to make fun of, like Arkansas, and states that we never used to pay attention to, like Iowa. They both have an income tax rate below Missouri's now. They do not have astronomical sales tax rates. Like I said, I think Arkansas is around 6-ish, and Iowa's around 6.5. And so we better keep up with the neighbors, or they're going to start beating us
And
hard.
speaking of Arkansas, probably the next initiative that needs to be worked on here in the state of Missouri is reading scores and just our schools in general. Sarah Huckabee has been getting a lot of credit for what she's done in Arkansas in regarding reforming the school system and school reform. Their test scores have raised dramatically since she's been in office, and that's something that you need in a state. You know, employers want an educated workforce. One of the reasons why a lot of the corporations here are moving out of Missouri and moving out of St. Louis is, one, of course, is the crime. Two, is the school system is so poor. You got to have those two things to drive economic growth.
Indeed. And, Arkansas and Mississippi have both
Mississippi too. Yeah.
major reforms. And so Missouri has to look at what they've done and hope to keep up there as well. I know that's going to be a huge priority of Governor Keough next year. He's going to move to education, I think, next year. We got a lot of show to get to today. Dr. Bob Onder, he was up in Congress this week. We're going to talk about the parts of we're going to talk about the Iranian deal and ask where the congressman is. What does he like? What does he not like? What does he think about the move in general? And unfortunately, Chris, we had as we predicted, right? No big surprise. There was a court decision yesterday that allowed medication mifepristone abortions to resume in Missouri following a court decision, as we predicted.
Yeah, and the sad situation about mifepristone, oh my God, I said it right.
You did.
Is that now an overwhelming majority of the abortions that are happening now, Tim, aren't in abortion clinics. They're happening at home with this very dangerous drug. You know, the left and proponents of abortion say that this is a safe alternative. We've talked many times with Dr. Tobler, who has told us the complications with this medication. This is something that should not be sold over the counter. It should not be able to be acquired by mail order. This is something that you need to be under the care of a doctor because of circumstances where a lot of women have excessive bleeding and are bleeding out. They're on the bathroom floor at home because they have taken mifepristone.
There's some horrible stories that I heard discussed on one of our other programs this week. May have either been the morning show or the mid-morning show, either Mike or Vic and Ken, about the really insidious uses You've got angry boyfriends and such slipping these pills to their girlfriends. And Chris, even in Illinois, that happened, and the boyfriend was arrested for doing that. So even in abortion on demand, Illinois, there's not an abortion that they haven't fallen in love with. It's just horrible over there. They've even arrested people who have done that because that's apparently still a bridge too far, even in Illinois.
And then they would go a step further if the baby dies because the person was slipped this drug, as they charge them with murder.
Isn't that interesting?
As as harming the mother.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Try and make sense of all that.
No, very interesting legal strategy that Attorney General Catherine Hanaway used to try to ban mifepristone, saying that it gets in the water and it's poisoning water. I felt that was a very interesting legal strategy that her and a number of AGs were using to try to get this banned.
Yeah, I mean, we often hear the warnings from people, don't flush drugs, whatever they are, down the drain, into the toilet.
Unless the cops are knocking on your door, and
you hear the battering ram.
Yeah, and then you want to flush the drugs down the toilet, probably.
But our public service announcement is to generally not do that, because the Attorney General's right. She didn't make that up. That gets into the water supply, and that's why they always say, if you have stuff you want to get rid of, take it to the local police station, no questions asked, and just drop it off, and they will dispose of it properly. They'll incinerate it, basically.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, did you know? I only know this. I only know this because I have a friend in the business.
I had no idea. Just drop it off the police station, no questions asked.
You know what they'll do then? There are companies that have been set up to incinerate narcotics and prescription drugs.
Well, a lot of people would love to have that job, I bet you. Be there while they're incinerating a pound of weed.
You can put your weed in it. Yeah,
Karen,
indeed.
where's the stuff that I left, Karen?
I flushed it down the toilet.
That's all the money that we had, Karen. I was dependent on that. Why did you do that?
One of my favorite movies, Goodfellas.
That is executive producer Joey V. Always on it, no matter what it might be.
We may think he's over there not paying attention and doing his thing, but he's actually listening to us,
He's
obviously.
half paying attention.
Yeah.
We've got Dr. Bob Onder at 425, Chris's Corner at 445.
Yeah, Tim, have you heard about the controversy in Major League Baseball?
I
of course,
have.
June is Pride Month, and a lot of these baseball teams are celebrating Pride Month at their particular stadiums. And a couple of New York or San Francisco Giant players were sanctioned by the MLB because they put a Bible verse next to their logo of their team that they have in the rainbow colors. And so they have been sanctioning them. And there was a minor league team that forfeited a game because they refused to wear their Pride-themed uniforms.
Good for these guys for standing up.
So we're going to talk about that at 4:45.
5:06, late-breaking news that you probably have not heard because the mainstream media is ignoring it. Fauci is a complete fraud. I mean, I know that's not a news flash, but on her way out the door, Tulsi Gabbard dropped some heretofore undisclosed documents that shows Fauci's involvement with the Wuhan lab, with the coronavirus, and with the cover-up.
But unfortunately, Joe Biden pardoned him on his way out the door on January 20th, 2024, and nothing will ever happen.
So my point on that is going to be careful when they come again, because there will be a future Fauci. And so this is a warning for us into the future. Patrick Tuohey joining us at 5:25. to speak with us about the Kansas City gun violence problem in and around the host matches for the World Cup. We'll talk to him about that and more. And the moment we've all been waiting for. He's got the T-shirt on to prove it. Toy Story 5 will be recast for us at 5:45. Reviewed for us at 5:45.
This is actually the very first Toy Story one in the series that's rated PG. They were all G before, so I'll tell you what filthy things these toys got up to at 5:45.
Did Tom Hanks voice the cowboy character?
Yeah, of course he
just want
did.
to make sure everybody is back.
Well, that is a good question, though, because all of the other stuff that is voiced with a Woody voice, the dolls and the video games that have Woody in it, his brother does it. His brother actually has such a similar voice that Tom Hanks' brother gets a little cut of the Disney money as well.
Good for him. Take care of family.
Very good indeed. All right, when we come back, we will speak to the good Dr. Bob Onder, the congressman from Missouri's 3rd Congressional. Have lots to speak with Bob about because lots happened up in the big deep swamp up on Capitol Hill. Iranian deals, medical abortions, and so much more. Stand by. We'll give you all the news you need to know about those things on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show here at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey everyone, it's Todd Showalter with my buddy Joey V. Be sure to join me and Joey for the Right Mind Show, where we put the fun in our dysfunctional world. Saturdays at 5, right here at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
I'm going to tell you all about Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance. Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance can be found online anytime 24/7 at cchiropractic.com. Double C on the front end there, cchiropractic.com. That's where you can find top-rated chiropractic care in the region for all kinds of pains, back, knee, neck, joint, headaches. Yeah, they can treat headaches. They can treat just about anything. I had a horrible elbow tendonitis problem a couple years ago. Ignored it for a while, thought it would go away. You know, I'm a man, I'll just deal with it. And I mentioned it at one point to Dr. Fader, and he's like, well, why didn't you tell me about this? We have treatment for that. Boy, did they. Couple treatments of some chiropractic care, some dry needling. That's kind of like acupuncture, but it's a different sort of discipline. And some of that red laser light therapy, which is a big deal, which is very popular right now. And the elbow was good as new. And the tendonitis has not come back because they also gave me some exercises with some some backwards kind of curl thingies with some lighter weights and to strengthen those joints. So you go in for whatever's immediately bothering you, and then they're also going to help you at Comprehensive Chiropractic not have that particular pain come back with either exercises, maybe it's a diet change, maybe it's various stretches, things of that sort. They have the studio facility at Comprehensive Chiropractic as well. Comprehensive Chiropractic, it's not just a little tiny like storefront office. It's a standalone building, and it's a huge space. Upstairs, they have the studio, Pilates, yoga classes, and more. Licensed massage therapists for those muscular aches and pains. And they also have personal trainers. That is not an expensive proposition. It's not a time-consuming proposition. You use them, just sign up, and you use them when you want to use them. That's kind of like if you're in need of the whole body makeover and just to stay generally in shape and tuned up at all times. They also can provide you with supplement needs as well. They sell them right on site, and this is the really good stuff. It doesn't mean it's expensive. It means it actually works, putting proper things in your body. They want to treat you stem to stern holistically at Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance. Once again, they're at cchiropractic.com on the internet. If you go in, call in, tell them that we sent you. cchiropractic.com, Comprehensive Chiropractic for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Trolley Stop Bakery, DG Firearms, and The Yard Guy. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Gonna sit down in the kitchen and fix me something good to eat and make my head a little high, make the whole day complete. Cause we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on.
Workers with waders and pool cleaning equipment are working overtime at Washington's iconic reflecting pool, battling the algae that has turned one of the president's prized projects from American flag blue to green.
If you take a look, not only has the green of the algae come back, but look at that American flag blue in the paint. It's actually starting to peel. It's coming up.
Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District.
We're calling Dr. Bob. We're calling Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob.
And as he does every Friday, Congressman Bob Onder from Missouri's 3rd District. Congressman, how are you?
It's great to be back, Chris.
You are also a medical doctor, and I've got a medical question for you regarding the reflecting pool. D.C.'s having some issues there. The Potomac River was filled with sewage. Now the reflecting pool is filled with algae. I'm just curious, is it dangerous to swim in algae? Is that a health hazard with that algae in the pool there?
No, algae wouldn't be a health hazard. I'm not sure it would be a good idea to swim in the reflecting pool for other reasons. But here on the Liberty compound on the Onder farm, in the summer months, algae is something we struggle with. We have some remedies for it when Mrs. Onder makes me go out there and administer those remedies.
Congressman, it was a busy week, wasn't it, on Capitol Hill, and a lot happened internationally and nationally. Your thoughts on the Memorandum of Understanding that has been signed as to the conflict in the Middle East between the U.S. and Iran? The good, the bad, and any ugly.
Well, the good, of course, is that the idea of the Strait of Hormuz opening, the international oil flows. About 20% of the world oil supply flows through that very important body of water. That getting open again is very good news. Of course, it's always good news when a military conflict ends. I think the bad news as I see it, I just look at that memorandum of understanding, and I really don't see where Iran is giving much of anything. My first read of that MOU, you would have sworn that Iran won the war and they devastated our Navy and Air Force. $300 billion going to Iran to, quote, rebuild, whether any of it's U.S. tax money or not. What are they going to rebuild? Well, the United States and Israel mostly struck military targets, some government buildings, but you give the mullahs $300 billion to rebuild. I think they're going to rebuild their military infrastructure. And of course, there really is nothing in the MOU that commits the Iranians to abandon their nuclear program or give up their enriched uranium. So I'm not. I think J.D. Vance has been reassuring everyone that, well, if Iran doesn't live up to their end of the bargain, that we will, that we have all the tools at our disposal that we have today. But I just don't see much in the MOU that the Iranians have to live up to. I think I mostly see a bunch of promises, and also ending sanctions, and giving the Iranians back the $28 billion in assets that have been frozen for years now. So I won't say it's ugly, but I think I will need to see how this all develops over the next 60 days is the timeline to negotiate Iran's nuclear program. Of course, Johnny Kennedy of Louisiana very colorfully said that if you trust the Iranians, you must have been homeschooled by a day drinker. Not exactly sure what that means, but but trust but verify.
Speaking with, of course, Dr. Bob Onder. He's Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. Congressman, of course, you serve on the House Judiciary Committee, and the president of the SPLC testified this week before your committee. On a side note, your Democratic colleagues Maxine Waters and Jamie Raskin sent a letter to Fidelity, Vanguard, and Charles Schwab warning the brokerages not to restrict customers' donations to the SPLC.
It's interesting that letter. Yes, I participated in that hearing. One of the big problems with the SPLC is financial institutions such as the ones that you named would use those the SPLC's hate map to restrict contributions to other charities in their investor advised funds. So the SPLC's hate map included most every conservative group that you could name: Moms for Liberty, Heritage Foundation, Family Research Council, even Alliance Defending Freedom, which has won 18 cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. So I tried to press Mr. Fair, the president of SPLC, on their criteria for the hate map. He was very vague, as he always is. It is really very clear that the SPLC is a defamation machine that is aimed at destroying any conservative group that gets in the way of their far left agenda. Even worse, though, we now know that the Justice Department has indicted the Southern Poverty Law Center for essentially misrepresenting to their donors what was going on with their contributions. The SPLC paid over $4 million over recent years to really the extremist right, neo-Nazi, white supremacist type groups. They claim to be fighting, including organizers of the infamous Charlottesville rally where someone was killed. But don't worry, afterwards, SPLC's contributions tripled after Charlottesville. So the SPLC has a lot to answer for. And restricting donations to SPLC, they really ought to be out of business altogether.
Congressman, I guess we have to give Mr. Fair some credit. He didn't plead the Fifth like his Act Blue colleague did at her hearing.
Yeah, Chris. His testimony was very poor. He was very vague. He was very evasive. We expected that, but he didn't even know how to competently plead the Fifth. He in some cases alluded to, well, there's that's the subject of litigation, so I won't talk about it. But in many other cases during that hearing, he specifically denied factual allegations made in the Justice Department's indictment. So if the Justice Department is able to prove up those charges, he committed perjury multiple times in that hearing. Yeah, but they have the SPLC has no mooring in truth or morality. They just pursue their far left agenda. I'm not surprised he lied to our committee.
Yeah, Bob, isn't it interesting that the left, out of both sides of their mouth at the same time, will on one hand argue that the United States of America is the worst country on the planet, we're nothing but a racist, misogynist, sexist, xenophobic nation, while on the other hand arguing that we should let every single illegal alien here who's dying to get into the United States of America because it's the best country on the planet. Bob, maybe we wouldn't have many of these problems if it wasn't the left stoking the hate and division. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, people around the world know that the United States of America is the place you want to be, whether you're, black, white, Christian, Jewish, Muslim. You want to come to the United States of America because it's the land of freedom and of opportunity. But the left is very invested in stoking racial and other forms of hatred, and that's why they talk this way about our country. But it's truly amazing that there is so little far right extremism that essentially the SPLC had to stoke it up and even make it up in some cases.
Congressman, we had a little bit of bipartisanship on the Hill this week. A landmark housing deregulation has passed. What is included in that bill that makes it landmark?
Yes, this is something both chambers have been working on in parallel for the last few months. It's the primary housing legislation. The final title of the bill will probably be the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. The House was out of session this week, but the House and Senate negotiators this week seem to have brought the two bills together. So it looks like its passage is pretty imminent when we get back to Washington next week. This legislation addresses the housing affordability crisis. 20 years ago, the average age of home ownership, first-time ownership, in the United States was 31. Today it's 40. The median age of all homeowners in the United States is 57, which is a historic high. And this legislation would do a number of things. I like to think of it as a bill that will boost housing supply by cutting red tapes for developers, reducing regulation, streamlining permitting, especially environmental regulation, in order to get more housing and especially affordable housing built in the United States. I would also add that another enormous piece of reform that could make a big difference would be capital gains tax reform, because I think we all know older individuals or older married couples who are staying in their house just because they want to be able to pass that investment on to their children with the so-called stepped-up basis when they die, whereas if they sold it, they might be in for a capital gains tax bill. But yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction, and I think it will be on the president's desk shortly.
Speaking to Congressman Dr. Bob Onder, Missouri's 3rd Congressional District. Bob, as you know, we have 3 huge constitutional amendment proposals on our ballot, and I saw your endorsement of Amendment 4 the other day, which I thought was wonderful, and I'm pretty confident you're also a big fan of Amendment 3. Bob, we had a court decision, unfortunately, yesterday. It was extremely disappointing as to the medication abortions, and Attorney General Catherine Hanaway was very disappointed, but she also said she's not surprised because of the bad Amendment 3. We all predicted this was going to happen. We could fix all of this with the good Amendment 3 this November, right, and stop this insidious practice.
100%, Tim. Yes, Amendment 3, and those of us who fought the bad Amendment 3 2 years ago pointed out that horrible constitutional amendment, funded by out-of-state billionaires, would essentially completely legalize abortion in all 9 months of pregnancy, that it would strike down our health and safety regulations, and I think it will be used. There's already been a lawsuit filed along these lines. It will also be used to strike down Missouri's 2023 law that protected kids from chemical and surgical mutilation in the name of gender ideology. But this, specifically, Judge Zhang ruled that so-called complication plans for chemical abortions, those restrictions, those health and safety standards would be struck down. I am very, very familiar with those health and safety standards regarding chemical abortion because in 2017 I wrote the law that imposed those with the help of some names you know. Dr. Randall Williams was our director of health at the time, but we wrote that in conjunction with our good friend Will Scharf over at the governor's office at the time and John Sauer over in the Solicitor General's office at the time. So it's a very good law. It protects women from, we know that 10% of women after a chemical abortion will end up in the emergency room with a serious adverse event. Federal law isn't protecting women, but this Missouri law could protect women, but this judge used our current Constitution to strike down that and 40 other regulations.
And finally, Congressman, a bill authorizing billions in new Ukraine aid and sanctions on Russia passed the House 226 to 195. I guess you could say that's pretty bipartisan. It heads over to the Senate, where I think there is support for this. Do you think this is something, once it gets to the president's desk, that he will sign?
Well, Chris, yeah, I was not a fan of that. I was a strong no on that. I don't think it'll get through the Senate, and I think President Trump would veto it if it got there. First of all, it's just kind of, well, I mean, first of all, it came to the House floor via a discharge petition, by which three Republicans joined with all the Democrats to hand control of the floor of the House of Representatives over to Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats. So that wasn't good. But the bill itself, it purports to fund Ukraine. But a lot of what was in that bill was already in the defense authorization bill last year or the defense budget last year. And in all honesty, I really believe that it is about time that the Europeans step up and take more responsibility for the war in Ukraine. So far we have the United States has spent $188 billion on the war in Ukraine. That is 200 times our annual contribution to NATO, for instance, just to put that in perspective. So anyway, I don't think it's going to make it. The United States has been supporting Ukraine generously in its just war against Russian aggression, but I think it's time for Europe to step up and assume more responsibility for security of their continent.
And that is Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. He's at onder.house.gov and on X, Bob Onder, M.O. Congressman, thank you as always for your time. Have a great weekend and a happy Father's Day.
Likewise to you guys. Thank you.
All right. 4:45 here on a beautiful Friday afternoon. I'm watching the screen here in the studio, and looks like the U.S. has beat Australia 2-0 in the World Cup. I know nothing about soccer, but the Chiron says that means that the U.S. advances to the knockout round. So I guess that's a good thing. And when you win, that's always good, right?
They're undefeated.
So who knows? Maybe they'll bring the World Cup home in 2026. All right, coming up, we're going to speak about is there still room for Christians in America's pastime? That's coming up on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Time out to smile a little before you let it go, 'cause we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story, something personal, sentimental, in honor of Sunday.
Father's Day.
Larry Connors USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, are you looking for a good dentist? I've got a great recommendation for you. It's called the Dental Link. The Dental Link is run by father and son Alan Link and his son Andrew. And it's one of those places where it's not sterile, it's not cold. It's a place where, I like going there and actually have fun because Dr. Link has such a great personality and he's such a great person. The staff, they're relaxed, they're professional, they're friendly, and that all starts with how Dr. Link treats his team. You can just tell that they enjoy working there. Now, for me, this is really personal. I've had dental implants done there. That's not a small thing. That's serious dental work. They walk me through the whole process step by step, no pressure, no confusion, just straight answers and making sure I was comfortable the whole time. If you've been putting something like that off or any type of dental work because you're nervous, hey, I get it. No one likes to go to the dentist, but here's what you should know. They offer many dental implants, which are less invasive. They have a quicker recovery and a lot less discomfort than the traditional route. I tell you this, getting my implants done was a game changer. They look natural, they feel natural, and honestly, it gave me a level of confidence back I didn't even realize I was missing. If you've been thinking about it, just go talk to them. The Dental Link is located there in Baldwin, right at 141 and Manchester. You can give them a call at 636-496-8584 or check them out online at thedentallink.com, thedentallink.com. Do good, do it well, have fun doing it. That's their motto.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
Looking to celebrate the 4th of July with a bang? Then look no further than Powder Monkey Fireworks. We've got bottle rockets, fountains, cakes, mortars. Our selection is endless with low prices and no gimmicks. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you choose the perfect fireworks to make your holiday unforgettable. You'll go bananas at Powder Monkey, Highway 94 in St. Charles, on Westwood in Weldon Spring, and on Brendel in Rocky Mount. Don't want to fight the crowds? Order online at powdermonkeyfireworks.com.
Hi, Sandy. What's that?
I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot.
What's 4?
Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot.
Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas?
Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it.
That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot?
The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common sense conservative policy we support.
Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians.
Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4.
Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Just he's got himself a girl and I wanna make her mine. And she's watching him with those eyes.
Major League Baseball is now under investigation by the feds after a Pride Night controversy involving the San Francisco Giants. Some of the team's players wrote Bible verses on their Pride Night baseball caps, but writing on caps violates league rules. In a letter to the MLB commissioner, the Justice Department says it is referring the league to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for forcing players to support Pride Night.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
Is there still room for Christians in America's pastime? For generations, baseball has been called America's pastime. It was a game where faith, family, and community went often hand in hand. Players pointed to the sky after a home run. Teams hosted faith nights. Fans prayed together before games. But recent events raise a troubling question. Is there still room for Christians in professional sports if their beliefs conflict with the culture? This week, a minor league baseball team made national headlines after forfeiting a game rather than participate in a Pride Night event that conflicted with the religious convictions of some players and staff. At the same time, Major League Baseball reportedly disciplined players for placing Bible verses and faith-based messages on their uniforms, citing league policies. Now, let's be clear. Professional sports leagues have every right to establish rules and promote causes they believe are important, but Christians have rights too. What many believers are asking is simple. Why is one form of expression celebrated while another is restricted? Why are athletes encouraged to wear symbols supporting certain social causes, but biblical messages are often treated differently? As Christians, we are called to love our neighbors. We're called to treat every person with dignity and respect. We are also called to remain faithful to God's truth, even when doing so is unpopular. The issue isn't whether Pride Night should exist. The issue is whether people of faith are still allowed to peacefully live according to their convictions without being punished, ridiculed, or pushed aside. America was built on the principle that people with different beliefs could coexist. A free society doesn't require everyone to agree. It requires everyone to have the freedom to disagree. When Christian beliefs are welcomed only if they remain private and silent, that's not tolerance, that's conformity. And when athletes or teams face consequences for expressing biblical convictions while other viewpoints are openly promoted, many Americans see a double standard. Baseball has survived wars, economic depressions, and cultural upheaval because it brought Americans together around something larger than politics. Maybe what America's pastime needs right now isn't more ideological division. Maybe it needs a little more room for everyone, including Christians. Because true diversity isn't measured by how loudly we celebrate the beliefs we agree with. It's measured by how willing we are to respect the beliefs we don't. And that is Chris's Corner.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I wonder if they took a piece of masking tape and put it on their hats and wrote on it. Would that count the same as writing on your hat?
Probably. Probably.
Could they get away with that?
They'd still yell at them for sure. They'd still chastise them. Here's the thing. Get ready to send me your hate mail if you want, because I know we have. I'm sure we have conservatives of the alternative sexual lifestyle listen to the show, and we probably have liberals who think that we're a bunch of misogynist haters as well. But look. Let's be honest about what Pride Night is. It is a promotion. It is a propagation of the lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, plus, whatever that means, lifestyle.
Did you
right?
get all those in there? LBGQT?
I'm sure I left one out. But, Chris, therefore, okay, listen to me. I'll go to the illogical extreme on this because with lefties, you always have to because that's where they ultimately want to go. That's what it is, right? So if I'm a heterosexual ball player, why can't I put on my hat? I like skinny blonde girls with big boobs. You know what I mean? Chris, why are we promoting any? And look, I seriously, I am very libertarian. I'm less conservative and more libertarian. What you want to do in your bedroom, as long as you're not hurting anybody, that's your business, okay? That's up to you and your partner and the good Lord above. But why do I have to be subject to the propagation of your sexual lifestyle as part of Major League Baseball's promotional efforts, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. That's what it means. And so if we're going to do that, why can't we promote the heterosexual lifestyle as well?
Yeah.
I mean, I see the hypocrisy in all of this. That's what always bugs me the most.
You're being force-fed to accept something
right.
that probably a majority of people don't accept. And if you don't, then you're a homophobe and a bigot. That's the whole part of that I don't like. Look, if that's your lifestyle, great. But don't force me to accept it. Don't force me to wear pride themed uniforms and hats and stuff. Just let me opt out and you do your thing and I'll do my thing. We're here to play baseball.
Right.
We're here to win games, not to promote social causes.
And the most hilarious hypocrisy was on full display over the last weekend when everybody in the left and the media freaked out about how dare Donald Trump disgrace the White House grounds by having a UFC fight.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Chris, we had topless trannies in the middle. Yeah, whatever
Tim,
that
I
means.
think trannies is politically incorrect. You can't call them
Well,
trannies.
what do I call them? You know, Chris, they were literally in broad daylight,
Yes.
bare-chested on the White House grounds.
Yeah.
Did you see the drag queens? Do you remember that? I know we've all tried to erase it from our memories. That happened. So Joe Biden and the lunatic left, who felt that bare-chested transgender, do I call them males, females? I don't even know. That's okay, but having a freaking American patriotic cage match on the White House grounds is not. Again, I don't get it.
You know what I would do if I was a ball player and I had the money that they did? I would put on the biggest cross you've ever seen that you could see it up in the nosebleed. I'll put it on the field, but I would put that thing on when I'm going in and out of the
like with
dugout.
flashing lights on it.
Exactly. All right, Speaker Stump Speech.
Yeah, Fauci the fraud.
And we'll talk with Patrick Tuohey about Missouri's gun violence there in KC. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
When they start talking cute, I wanna tell her that I love her, but the point is probably moot. 'Cause she's watching him with
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl.
News Talk STL is turning 5, and you're invited to the party. Join us Friday night, June 26th at Frankie Martin's Garden in Cottleville for a totally rad celebration with the Retro Nerds, St. Louis's favorite 80s tribute band. Live on the outside stage from 7 to 10. It's an all-ages show, so bring the whole family and stop by and see us at the News Talk STL Pavilion right near the stage. Frankie Martin's Garden, the place for and about community in Cottleville. Details at frankiemartinsgarden.com.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Israel and the Iran-backed Hezbollah militant group agreed Friday to halt the heavy fighting in southern Lebanon that had threatened to unravel an interim peace agreement between the United States and Iran. In a Salem Radio Network interview, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis says part of the peace deal with Iran is dependent on Israel's conflict with Hezbollah.
The balance of it on working with the proxies like Hezbollah, I can be sympathetic to Israel primarily because they've been attacked consistently by, Hezbollah and obviously the Hamas mess. And then the Houthis continue to occasionally bombard with whatever ballistic missiles they have.
Hezbollah and Israel went to war shortly after the outbreak of the wider conflict, with Hezbollah firing rockets and drones at civilian communities in northern Israel, and Israel seizing large swaths of southern Lebanon. Firefighters respond after Russian attacks targeted the Kharkiv and Odessa regions of Ukraine.
Overnight, Russia carried out strikes with guided aerial bombs on Kharkiv and nearby districts. According to Ukraine's state emergency service, 10 people, including 4 children, were injured. One of the strikes damaged a warehouse, igniting a large-scale fire that firefighters were still battling into Friday. The attack also damaged up to 40 private residential buildings and vehicles. While in the central Dnipropetrovsk region, Russian artillery and drone attacks hit 3 districts. An 8-year-old girl was killed in Pavlovrad, and a 49-year-old woman was hospitalized with injuries. Then, in the southern city of Kherson, a Russian drone struck a passenger minibus, wounding 5. I'm Charles Tilladesma.
The remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur are battering parts of the southeastern United States. More at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or Big.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Now, the way we're going to help people win is that we have to understand the party is polling lower than a fascist president. To win in November, we have to stop playing it safe in June. We have to give people a reason to turn out the vote.
Well, that was a whole crew of Virginia Democrats on a Zoom call, Chris, talking about the fact that, unfortunately, their party is polling below the fascist Donald Trump. So what does it mean if your entire party is polling below the guy that you call the fascist?
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before. The reason why the polling is so bad for the Democrats, especially among their own party, is because they feel that the party is not to the left enough, is not progressive enough. They think the party should be AOC, Bernie Sanders, Mamdani, and this new socialist mayor in D.C. That's the direction they want to see the party going, and they're not seeing that, so they're disappointed. They have to worry about voter apathy. They've been very excited about some of these special elections that they've done very well in, but Democratic voters are very apathetic, and they have to worry about that.
Yeah, there's a huge civil war in that party right now, and it's being played out in the New York primary, which is next Tuesday. You've got Hakeem Jeffries and Zohran Mamdani on the opposite side of several local primaries.
Yeah.
Hakeem, as leftist as he is supporting some more of the traditional, I guess you can call them establishment Democrats. They're currently in office versus some of the new up-and-comer Democrat socialists.
Yeah, and the party there in New York is kind of mad at Mamdani because he is not in support of the incumbent, who is an Hispanic Democrat. So he has gotten on the left side, so to speak, of the Hispanic caucus there in the House because he didn't support that candidate.
Mm-hmm.
He's supporting one of the socialist upstarts.
Yeah, meanwhile, Bernie and AOC are thrilled because every election cycle, they move the Democratic Party a little bit further to the left, and they're very happy about that. I'm going to talk about one of the other cover-ups and one of the other complaints about what happened during the Democratic era of Joe Biden's presidency, and that's regarding Tony Fauci. Not much can be done about him, but this should definitely be a warning sign if anything regarding COVID ever happens again or any other kind of, quote, national or international emergency. And that's a real shame, too, because we like to trust our institutions. But once again, Tony Fauci's role in all this, very suspect. We'll talk about that in a moment. Fauci the Fraud, title of today's Speaker Stump Speech. Chris, we're going to talk to Patrick Tuohey at the Show Me Institute about what's going on at the World Cup matches. We're very excited to see the U.S. did have another victorious match. I think they call it a match, don't they?
I think so, yeah, soccer match.
A football match, whatever they call it. 2-0. And I understand from soccer people that Australia is a very legit team, and the U.S. shut them out. So that's great defensively and offensively. So that's continuing to go on. So we'll talk to Patrick Tuohey about all that and more at 5:25 and what Kansas City has been like throughout the World Cup madness. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. It's Friday. And that means it's time for Joey V's movies. And
Toy Story 17, I think.
Yeah,
Right now.
Joey, we're going back to the famous franchise today.
Came out in 1995, the first one. You probably don't even remember that far back.
Wow.
I was 10 years old, and this series has been important to me this entire time, my whole life. So I'm always excited to see a new one and see what they do with it. Find out at 5:45 if this one holds up to the rest.
And the question that I always have for these animated movies, are these movies for adults? Because that's what's kept me from going to them.
Yeah, this new Toy Story 5 is the first one in the series to ever be rated PG, which means they get filthy, Chris.
Oh.
I mean, they drop it like it's hot on that.
Do they have, like, toy sex?
I mean, yes. Yes,
Really?
they do.
Okay.
They do it in all the positions, too.
Oh.
Upways, sideways, all of them.
All the parents are covering their kids' ears right now. We apologize.
But they get married first, Chris.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's
And
a
it- and
friggin'
it's okay.
Pixar Disney movie.
And it's okay. I always think that I will have no interest in these animated cartoon Toy Story movies. And then, Chris, I'll start watching them, and I get sucked in by the dialogue.
Yeah.
Because the writing is so good. The jokes are very funny. Yes, the kids probably get some of them, but there's some definitely for the adults as well. The double entendres and the references to history and things. And so I probably won't. I won't go to the theater, but I will watch this one when it hits the streamers.
I was pleasantly surprised back in 94 when Lion King came out, and we had bought the video for my daughter, and she had watched it 15, 16 times. And I sat down to watch it one afternoon, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was just for children.
Mm-hmm. Another good one is, what's the one they love, my daughters and my wife too. They love the Tangled movie, which is a play on Rapunzel.
Oh, okay.
So it's the story of Rapunzel retold.
She got nappy hair. She black?
No, she's
Okay.
just got really long,
Okay.
long hair, and, Rapunzel, the thing is she could never cut her hair or she would lose her powers, and it's very funny too. And there's a lot of jokes in that. It was released, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Was Rapunzel also the one that she had the mattress and they put the pee on the mattress and she felt it? Or is that another?
That's Sleeping Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, they all run together.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I think Rapunzel was the one with the long hair.
Yeah, I remember
right, Joey?
that.
Rapunzel, long hair.
I don't
long
think
hair
they
gal.
ever had a princess who wet the bed. Pee
No,
on the mattress.
pee,
No,
a
Chris,
vegetable pee.
The princess and the pea,
She
Is that
was
what
a
it was?
cripple? She was a vegetable?
No.
That's why she was bedridden?
She was very, very
sensitive,
and
Oh,
to
she was
find
gay.
out, yeah.
No.
Okay.
But to determine if she was a real princess, if I remember the story correct, they put a vegetable pea underneath the mattress.
That's right.
And if she could feel it,
That's right.
then she was royalty.
Yes. I don't remember who that's supposed
Yeah.
to be, but let's get back to some manly man stuff. It is Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the dads and the father figures. Chris, the U.S. Open is going on right now.
Oh, is it?
I'll spend my Father's Day weekend watching some of that. It's up at Shinnecock Hills on the south shore of Long Island, a very exclusive club. In fact, they argue the myth, the legend is that Shinnecock Hills was the first private country club ever incorporated in the United States of America.
Oh, okay.
It goes back to the 1880s, 1890s. It's on the windswept shores of South Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like a very Scottish-looking course.
Oh, okay.
It's very flat.
Is it cold?
It's cooler.
Does it get cooler?
It gets cooler. It's very windy. Very windy. So the challenge of Shinnecock Hills is the wind and the changing winds.
Mhm.
And I think yesterday they had winds 25, 30 miles
Oh,
an
wow.
hour. So even the best players in the world struggle with that. And to prove that point, there's one guy who's crushing it. He is 7 under after 2 days. That's Wyndham Clark, the American. But the next closest guy, second place, there's a 3-way tie. Matt Fitzpatrick, the Englishman, Xander Schauffele, the American, Sam Stevens, the American. They're 4 back. They're only 3 under. So after 2 days of golf, usually when these guys play these courses, it's 7, 8, 9, 10 under each day. So after 2 days, the leader is 7 under, and then the second place guy is 3 under.
Wow.
So it's a very difficult track as the U.S. Open is supposed to be. So, Rory McIlroy's playing pretty well. Some of the other big names.
Wyndham Clark sounds like a blue blood name. Is he a blue blood? Wyndham Clark.
When you look at the guy, he's pretty normal-looking
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, it does sound kind of
Wyndham
fancy.
Clark.
Fancy, yes. You got Sam Burns in the top 10 and Justin Thomas, the Kentuckian. Rory is tied for 7th. What other big names are up there? I can throw at you all. Those are probably the biggest ones. Those are the biggest ones, kind of in the top 10. So yeah, Wyndham Clark's a pretty well-known golfer. I don't know that he's ever won a major, but everybody keeps waiting for him to win one.
Maybe this will be the time.
Maybe this will be time. I'm a big Xander Schauffele fan. I like his name. I think his name's cool.
Xander Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele with an X. An X. He's got an X in Schauffele. I don't know where I think Xander's from California. And he's a really good guy. I've heard him give interviews and stuff. He's a very normal person. So anyway, that's up in New York this weekend. So, all right, we've got Speaker Stump Speech, Patrick Tuohey, and then Toy Story 5 at 5:45 to help take you into the weekend. Joey, how about without further ado, we give a little bit of today's Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Up till now, states have largely not been transparent with us. They're not showing us the records that we ourselves pay for. The federal government pays for these programs, and states are preventing us from even accessing the very records that show who is obtaining the money.
Well, see, that's the latest fraud. I just want to let you know this is an ongoing theme. This is an ongoing problem when we're talking about Democrats, liberals, and leftists. It wasn't just COVID. It's not just the billions of dollars of fraud that have been uncovered in Minnesota, the billions of dollars of Medicaid fraud. You hear about that story? The Medicaid fraud is so bad in California that the Democratic Attorney General actually had a huge press conference about a month ago announcing his Medicaid fraud task force. And it was so hilarious because you could just tell how Donald Trump lives rent-free in these liberals' heads. During the middle of the press conference, this Democrat Attorney General California was talking about, we're gonna ferret out the waste, fraud, and abuse. This is hurting Californians. And then at one point in the press conference, he said, now, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Just like, dude, you just told us that it has everything to do with Donald Trump. And you could have gone the entire press conference and not mentioned his name. But it seems that when we're talking about big blue states, when we're talking about Democrats and some big giant, money-involved operation, there's always waste, fraud, abuse, graft, and corruption. It was on full display during COVID, even though the left, the liberals, and the media did not want to admit it at the time. But hasn't Tony Fauci been utterly and absolutely disgraced? No one in the media is going to admit that. I'm sure they still have pictures of him up in their media room lockers, and they probably have little candle memorials to him that they light and pray to him every night. The king of the mask. But he is disgraced. He has been proven as a fraud. He is a master cover-up artist. Now, many of you are wondering, Tim, why are you going back to COVID? Do we have to talk about this again? That was so horrible. The virus itself was horrible. It was real. None of us are admitting it wasn't real. The way we handled it, the way we addressed it, the way we let government manhandle all of us, that was the problem. And we should have seen this. Look, maybe not in the first few weeks, or I'll even give you the first month or two, but after the first year or so, we should have realized that there was no reason to keep schools closed because this was not affecting kids. There was no reason to tell everybody to stay home from work for years. Some states did that for years and years and years because able-bodied Americans would get the virus and they would recover from it, just like they recover from any other similarly situated horrible influenza-type virus. You ever had flu A? I had a couple good friends a few years ago had flu A. They literally, I'm not being funny, they literally thought they were on their deathbed. They said it was the most god-awful thing they ever had. We have all kinds of horrible, contagious viral contagions. Why in the world for this COVID-19 one did we do things that we'd never done before and hopefully never do again? Well, largely because of Saint Tony Fauci. Now, I don't consider him a saint, but the left sure did and probably sure does. On our way out the door, I was glad to see that outgoing DNI Secretary Tulsi Gabbard released some additional documents kind of underlining and highlighting the fraud that Tony Fauci was. New York Post, probably one of the few national publications that are covering this, reported earlier today that as Tulsi Gabbard released a trove of files today detailing Tony Fauci's role in the COVID-19 pandemic, it showed that officials in Biden's government protected Tony Fauci from a whistleblower complaint alleging that he lied to Congress about gain-of-function research after he suggested pangolins were to blame for the outbreak that killed millions. I often talk, every time I hear that word pangolin, I think of the Jon Stewart riff where he was on Stephen Colbert. And even Jon Stewart, the big liberal comic, was on Stephen Colbert, who's the leftist comment. And Stewart, back in the early days, was pointing out to Colbert that we absolutely should be honest about where the virus came from because there was a lab in Wuhan, as Jon Stewart funnily called it, basically called the COVID-19 coronavirus lab. And we're wondering if it came from the wet market or the bird or the pangolin. And so we all got to know what a pangolin was and such and so forth. So Jon Stewart, the liberal comic, pointed this out, I think 1 year after the original outbreak. But yet, we have officials in the Biden government that I bet to this day would argue with you as to the origins of the COVID-19 virus. And because of all of that, I don't know that it's ever been firmly adjudicated. I think plenty of people in the Trump administration feel they know where it came from. And I'm glad that Tulsi Gabbard released this because Tony Fauci has now been proven to be a liar to Congress about that gain-of-function research. Now, as Chris pointed out, he's been pardoned, so he can just ride off into the sunset, and I'm glad we haven't heard from him much. But how about remembering this the next time something of this comes around? Fauci, the disclosed documents today show, met with a group of CIA officials back on June 4th, 2021, right? That's barely a year after COVID started ravaging the land. Weeks after his fiery May 11th denial to Congress that he funded any risky research into coronaviruses in the same Chinese city where the pandemic began. Isn't that a problem in the first place? What in the world was Tony Fauci doing with U.S. taxpayer dollars in communist China involving coronavirus labs? That just sounds like the premise for a really bad horror sci-fi flick, doesn't it? No, it happened in real life. While briefing the CIA, Fauci keyed in on specifics about the Wuhan Institute of Virology's experiments on pangolin samples, according to a summary report. Dr. Fauci was particularly interested in the Wuhan Institute of Virology's work on pangolins and asked for specifics on the type of experiments the Chinese were conducting in the fall of 2019. Another document said of the meeting that Fauci gave the impression he was presumably not tracking the pangolin research. It does not describe Fauci raising any alarms about the research that he was funding at the same lab in Wuhan, including work by remember this, the absolutely disgraced nonprofit EcoHealth Alliance that modified at least 3 bat coronaviruses and found they became much more infectious when human-type receptors were added. So the article goes on and on and on about Fauci's involvement with the lab, with EcoHealth Alliance, the statements that seem to absolutely contradict. You know, he says he knows nothing. At the time, he said he knew nothing, wasn't familiar, but there were so many emails and so many other statements that showed that Fauci was intimately involved with that lab and knew everything that was going on there. The New York Post article wraps up by discussing the fact that last year, shortly after President Trump was sworn back into office, the CIA announced that it concluded that COVID-19 most likely leaked from a lab. That came after former CIA Director William Burns, who led the spy agency during the Bush administration, pressed Langley to stop being neutral on the question. The FBI and the Energy Department, which runs a network of labs and research facilities across the country, has also leaned towards an iteration of the lab leak theory. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody focused on this and found out the source and the origin for sure, so we could perhaps safeguard against something like this in the future? There's so much that Tony Fauci absolutely knows that he either did not disclose or continued to lie to the American people about it. So when the next Fauci comes along, let's not be defrauded by them as well. And that's the Speaker's Stump Speech for today.
I will never understand why Fauci's agency was giving money to a lab in China to develop a worldwide pandemic that can kill us all.
Isn't that
I'm
wild?
trying to find what is the scientific purpose for that.
Truly a premise of a horror movie.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
Or an indictment.
Or an indictment, which will never happen now. Yeah. So just remember this the next time some bureaucratic Fauci-like guy comes around. Chris, we're going to talk to Patrick Tuohey next. We're going to touch base with what's going on the other side of the state where they are a World Cup host city. What's going on with the gun violence problem in Kansas City in the midst of the World Cup matches and more with Patrick Tuohey, senior fellow at the Show Me Institute. He'll join Chris and I next. And then Joey V's movie review, Toy Story 5. All up next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019, 94.1 News Talk, STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Free speech speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Have you had any damage to your home during the spring summer storm season? If so, I have a one-stop shop for you, whether it's regarding damage to your roof, your siding, or your gutters. That would be the good folks at Corel Roofing Company. Online, 24/7, available for you to check out anytime, CorelRoofingCo.com. That's 2 R's, 2 L's, CORRELL, CorelRoofingCo.com. Curtis Corel and his entire team standing by to assist with you today. They have decades of experience in the roofing, siding, and gutters industry. Curtis himself, 20-plus years of roofing experience. He's in his third decade of taking care of roofs and siding and gutters, homesteads all over the St. Louis metropolitan region. That's where Curtis is from. He's from St. Charles. His family's been here for generations. This is not a fly-by-night business. It's not a storm chaser outfit. They actually have an office, a big, beautiful office. I've been there recently. It's absolutely fantastic. Inside, they've got like a really cool, like three-dimensional mock-up of an actual home, like it's full size. It's just kind of the top of a house, right? It's like the roof, siding, shingles, gutters, all that. Really cool. So you can see like everything that goes into that. See it, touch it, look at it, talk about the different types of styles available. They can take care of your roof. They can take care of your siding, take care of your gutters. Where can you find them? CorelRoofingCo.com. Service areas, the entire eastern part of this region. We're talking St. Louis, Collier counties, St. Charles, and they will work with your insurance company from the very beginning to the very end. You don't have to deal with them. They know you're busy. They'll take all that stress and pressure off of you. Check them out today. Give them a call. Look at everything they've got available at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com. They're your one-stop roofing shop.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL, JC's Sunday Showgram.
The world pretty much came to a stop this week in 1989 when a little movie called Batman opened. You'll hear my conversation with Kim Basinger. Also, it's back to 2013 with Weird Al Yankovic in the studio. And why did my very first radio gig get cut short after only one show? All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
The manhunt for the 22-year-old man suspected of shooting as many as 5 victims, killing 1, continues. Shots fired on highways and a Kansas City street.
Tonight, we're hearing from an Argentina fan who was on his way to the game on Tuesday when his Uber driver was wounded by gunfire.
A car passes by super fast, and we hear these two boom, boom noises, and the Uber driver starts screaming that he was hit.
And one of the more amazing parts about their story is they did, in fact, make it to Arrowhead to see that hat trick by Lionel Messi, but they had to be taken to the stadium by KCPD.
And now a man who comes alive when there's bad public policy in Missouri, Patrick Tuohey.
Show me the way.
Indeed, he will this afternoon. Once again, Patrick Tuohey, senior fellow at the Show Me Institute, joins us live on location at the Kansas City World Cup sites.
Warming up.
Yeah. How are things going over there, Patrick? Is it exciting? Is there a lot of buzz? What's happening?
I am a shut-in, so I haven't been to any events. But like you, I've spent a lot of my time just watching these videos of Europeans and South Americans coming to the United States and seeing Buc-ee's and whatnot. That's been a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing them here in Kansas City and to seeing what we have to offer. You know, we've had the Argentine team staying in Lawrence, Kansas. So it's been good. Now, you know, we could talk about crime. We could talk about theft. We could talk about whether or not we're getting as many tourists as we were told we would. Spoiler alert, we're not. But it's still a good time. Even if it's an expense, it's still a good time.
Patrick, is part of the reason why you aren't going to the games because it takes about 3 months of pay to pay for a seat?
It is expensive. Yeah. Let me tell you, you guys need to talk to Show Me because on a Show Me salary, I have to watch on TV. Yeah, it is really expensive. And, you know, FIFA is a scam. I don't think anybody would defend FIFA. But, you know, to the degree that we've got people here visiting and experiencing Kansas City, it's good. I've never been a soccer fan, so I'll watch highlights after the fact. I understand the United States just beat Australia. That's great.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's that old Simpson episode where he's watching soccer and the field play is boring, but the announcers make it sound like it's so exciting. And so it's just, I don't get it, but I love that other people do.
Patrick, one of our favorite publications, not really, Kansas City Star, recently published a story examining KC, Missouri's gun violence problem as they host matches during the World Cup. Patrick, I am fascinated to know what in the world the Kansas City Red Star had to say regarding gun violence in the World Cup. What was what was their take on the whole thing?
Well, it will not surprise you. As your audience will understand, and as you guys have seen for years, the story was basically, hey, we've got a gun problem, and then skipped right to it's our laws, right? We've got too many guns. The localities aren't allowed to enact their own gun laws because of the evil state and blah, blah, blah. They mentioned in passing that Kansas City, Kansas has a much lower homicide rate, but just left it at that. Now, I happen to know that Kansas's gun laws are almost identical to Missouri's gun laws, yet they don't have the homicide problem. So I just simply said, hey, guys, if you want to have a talk about gun control, I'm perfectly up for that. But if two jurisdictions have exactly the same laws and one has a homicide problem and the other doesn't, it seems to me there's a second question worth asking, but the Kansas City Star didn't ask that.
Yeah. The question that they need to ask is, one, Kansas, you know, it has suburban areas, of course, but it's a much more rural state than Missouri is. Kansas City is an urban area, and I'm sure just like in Kansas City as it is here in St. Louis, that you've got 80% of the crimes being done by a small amount of people in a couple of zip codes. It's probably the same way there in KC, isn't it?
Yes. In fact, when I first moved here, 20 years ago, there was a story about how the zip code next to me, like accounted for a huge proportion of people serving time in prison. That got my attention, right? That stayed with me for 20 years. And so, yes, it is. It's a very small area. It's a very small number of people. I'm not an expert in law enforcement, but, you know, we had a restaurateur shot last year, and it was caught on video. And the police, when they saw the video, knew who those kids were. They already knew who those kids were because, to your point, they had already had interactions with the criminal justice system. And so my frustration, like yours, like many of people in Missouri and around the country, is why are these people getting a second and third chance? Because oftentimes, too often, their level of crime only ratchets in one direction. They only get worse. So, yes, it's part of that. It's socioeconomic. It's all sorts of problems. but the Star and so many others want to pretend that it's just the availability of guns.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Jonathan, and you're absolutely right, Kansas does not have the rural or the urban environments that Kansas City, Missouri does, but Kansas City, Kansas is pretty urban, even though it's much, much smaller. But Kansas has the same rate of gun ownership as far as I could tell. So again, it's not the frequency of guns. It's not the gun laws. Crimes are committed by people. We've got to admit that, even though doing that really tells us this is a much harder problem to solve than just passing a law. You and I get that. Some people don't want to come to that conclusion.
I guess it's easier to just blame the inanimate object, Patrick, indeed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the Republicans in Jeff City, those evil Republicans.
Right. Patrick, I understand that Kansas City, Missouri just received some great news about trends in contracting with minority and women-owned businesses, but your feeling is that the city council of Kansas City, Missouri, can't seem able to take the win. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so I understand that St. Louis did, halted women and minority business contracting for a short while, and and then reinstated it. And your listeners will know that the Supreme Court has kind of hedged on this, and it said, look, you're not allowed to discriminate based on race or sex unless you can show that there's a real existing problem that you're trying to solve. So what cities and states do is they hire consultants to do these, I think they're called disparity studies, where you just look like, for example, if women-owned businesses are 50% of the businesses in your market, but they're only getting 1% of the contracts, maybe you could say, all right, there's a problem here, and let's look into it. And so Kansas just did a disparity study, and they looked at 7 years of contracting with the city, and they found that women and minority-owned businesses are meeting or exceeding representation in contracts, compared to their representation in the population, right? So that's great news. I would think, like, what a opportunity to say, we've really done something in Kansas City. If there were problems before, we've overcome them. But man, I watched the hearing, and there were members of the council who pushed back on these researchers and said, I don't know that you defined the problem correctly, or we don't know that you measured it correctly. Our mayor said, quote, the courts suck. So it makes you wonder, if you're a cynic, maybe there's another reason why people in government want to maintain, sex and race set-asides. And it's really not about equal representation. That's above my pay grade, but a reasonable person could wonder that.
Patrick, I want to go back for a second to gun violence and crime in KC. Back during March Madness, St. Louis was host of regional games here in St. Louis, and we've had a problem in the downtown area with youth and hooliganism and all kinds of crime. During March Madness, they instituted a curfew for youth so that, they wouldn't disrupt the games and disrupt people coming to St. Louis. And it was practically crime-free down there. You felt like you were in Hawaii or somewhere. Has Kansas City instituted a curfew around the soccer venue to keep hooliganism down?
First of all, let me say I much rather prefer to talk about crime in St. Louis than I do crime in Kansas City. We have instituted curfews in the past. To be honest with you, I don't know if Kansas City has a curfew right now. We've had them in the past with in the summer. And of course, we've had things like midnight basketball and try to entertain kids and keep them busy and keep them off the street. I don't know if we have one going now, but we've tried it in the past, and my recollection is that it's been successful, but look, it runs into the same progressive opposition that it probably got in St. Louis, which, people say, well, who are the kids that you're trying to control? Why aren't the suburban kids dealing with these curfews? And of course, the issue is, well, the suburban areas aren't having this crime problem. So it makes us ask a lot of uncomfortable questions when we talk about curfews, when we talk about crime. The irony of it, I wrote about this in the Star years ago. I said, look, we've got to go into these communities we talked about earlier where we know where the criminals are, where we know where the crime happens. And yes, we may arrest people that are, the black population may suffer more arrests, but guess what? The black population is also going to suffer less crime because of this action. So it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I get it, but it's the type of issue we see in Kansas City and St. Louis that makes progressives very uncomfortable, because the idea that we're going to have, let's say, non-equitable results of crime enforcement to them is itself a sign of racism. And that's just where we are in big city politics these days. And it's tragic because we also see disparate outcomes in victims of crime.
Patrick, before we let you go, and we have to do that soon because, as you know, today's a very important day. It's Joey V's movie review of Toy Story 5, so everybody's waiting for that. But we always check your events page, Chris and I do, to see what the Show Me Institute's got coming up. And I see that there's an event in your neck of the woods. Are they going to let you? Are they going to let you out of the house and out in public for this Insiders Hour with the Show Me Institute in Kansas City?
I have been told that I am allowed to attend, but I am not on the agenda.
That is too funny.
I'm just there to drink drinks and shake hands. They don't want me saying anything this time around.
Well, I see that all of your St. Louis colleagues, Brenda Talent, who runs the Show Me Institute, and Elias and Corey are all coming over. I'm sure you will put out the red carpet for all of them on June 24th, 2026, right around the corner, next week at 5 p.m.
If there's drinks there, Stokes will be there, right?
Stokes will be here, I think. And, I'm going to welcome all you St. Louis guys to Real America out here in Kansas City.
That event's at the Carriage Club. And if you want to get more details for the event next week, go to showmeinstitute.org and just click on the events tab. Patrick, thanks for the update. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, gentlemen. Take care.
All right. Chris, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It's the only reason why people listen on Friday, to be truthful.
Because everybody kind of checked out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll listen to the movie review. Joey, are you excited about this movie review? Are we all looking forward to it for some reason or other?
I was up all night just putting together this playlist. The whole show, it's been songs with Buzz, Woody, toys. You probably didn't even notice, Chris.
I did notice. That's the first song they said Toy Story, so that gave it away.
Toy Story 5. Does this franchise, does this dynasty hold up? Joey V will tell us next in Joey V's Movies. Stand by for that on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m., where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
Hi, Sandy. What's that?
I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot.
What's 4?
Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot.
Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas?
Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it.
That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot?
The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common sense conservative policy we support.
Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians.
Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4.
Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, and it's tough to pick, but my favorite sandwich at Capriotti's is the cheesesteak with a side of Cap's awesome fries. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270. Hey, Colombo here, ready to take your next shot? Then head to Bluff City Outdoors, your destination for the best archery gear, from traditional equipment to compound bows to high-performance crossbows, all from the biggest names in archery like Hoyt, Matthews, 10 Point, and more. Whether you hunt, shoot target, compete in 3D, or just shoot for fun, make your next shot at Bluff City Outdoors. 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alden. Don't forget Bluff City has all your fishing and trapping needs covered as well. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Woody! Jesse, hello? Is it as bad out there for toys as they say it is?
We're finding more abandoned toys each day.
We're down! Tech's invaded our house, too.
I don't know, Jesse. Toys are for play, but tech is for everything.
I'm losing Bonnie to this device.
You got a friend.
547 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and that is the trailer for the PG-rated Toy Story 5. How many toasted rafts out of 5 will Joey give it?
Joey, baby, what movie are you playing?
Brought to you by Harry J's Steakhouse, Freddy's Market, AAA Motor Speedway, and Best Buy Flooring.
Here is the plot for Toy Story 5.
All right.
When little girl Bonnie receives a tablet as a gift and becomes obsessed, Buzz, Woody, Jesse, and the rest of the gang's jobs become exponentially harder when they have to go head-to-head with the all-new threat to playtime. The first Toy Story came out in 1995. I was 10 years old, and it was instantly on regular rotation in my house. And then as I started babysitting my cousins and my brothers, it was my preferred form of babysitting, so I could go back to sleep. You pop in the tape, you can go back to bed. The movie watches them, so you don't have to. I worked at Radio Disney for 6 years, and I had unlimited passes to go to the parks, and I went to Disney World as much as I could. I would bring friends with me. I love Toy Story Land over in Hollywood Studios. I'd be happy if it just took over the rest of Hollywood Studios. There's a lot of wasted space in that park, and I would love to live in Toy Story Land. This series is so old that the toys are just dying off at this point, Chris. Do you know who's died? We got Slinky Dog, R.I.P., Sarge the Army Man, Mr. Potato Head, Mrs.
Slinky
Potato
Dog's
Head,
gone?
Combat Carl, they're all dead. Well, I mean, they're voice
just-
actors.
Oh, the actors.
Yeah, Arlie Ermy, Jim Varney, Don Rickles, they all died.
Oh, okay.
So there's some people who aren't even making it through these movies. Isn't that so sad?
That is. Curse.
We're so lucky to get another one, and we get to watch it with our family.
It's horrible.
Toy Story 5, it focuses on tablet addiction and bullying, I think in a very effective way. I think when the movie ends, you're going to look at your fellow man, you're going to be nice to them. You may even pick up the popcorn that you dropped on the ground because you feel bad for the usher.
No.
You probably won't even look at your phone until you get home, actually. I bet it'll last about a couple hours, but while you're in the theater, you feel closer to your fellow man. Chris, have you seen these kids at restaurants that are glued to their tablets and they even have headphones on? They're sitting there at the table with their whole family, and they're just not even being talked to. Have you seen this?
Do I count? Because I'm one of those.
You're one of those people?
I'm one of those people.
Oh, my. Do you have an opinion on this, either of you? Just these kids addicted to their tablets? You think it's an epidemic, or is it just the same as us with our Game Boys and our Walkmans?
Maybe a little of both, but it seems that today's devices tend to suck people in a little deeper.
They're addictive.
You know?
They've done studies say these things are addictive.
Indeed.
Now, this is the first one to be PG. I warned you guys. This is Tim and Chris After
Not
Dark.
for the faint of heart.
Some of the things that are in this movie that make it so disgusting and vile. There's some make-believe moments where the little kids are playing and they're pretending it's a murder mystery, so they say the word murder, and there's a bomb. There's this one toy that is a potty training toy, so there's some pee and poop humor.
Oh, how
There's mention
funny.
of Chippendales, and there's something that looks like pasties, and they almost say the word ass. But I think because the movie's so funny, it's all worth it. I don't mind it at all. Your kid won't be scarred. And one of my favorite funny people of all time is in this movie. I had no idea it was him until they showed kind of a sketch, like a different version of him. There's one version of him in the movie, and then they go to this make-believe world, and they showed him. And I was like, oh, my gosh, is that Conan O'Brien? And he is doing a whole different voice, a whole different personification of himself. I could not tell until one of the toys ends up with a big, giant mane of red hair. I was like, oh, my gosh. That was such a wonderful thing to see. So once again, Conan is going to be in another movie and hosting the Oscars. And I bet you he's going
that'll
to
be great.
Have fun. Maybe he'll bring Slinky Dog back to life. Poor Slinky Dog.
I remember my daughter when Toy Story was out, and she got a Happy Meal, and she got a Slinky Dog toy in the Happy Meal.
They have a wonderful roller coaster at Disney World, the Slinky Dog roller coaster, and we got my girlfriend's mom on there, and she hates roller coasters, but she was actually having fun. It's kind of a kiddie coaster, but there's so much theming to it, you can't help but have fun with it. Actually, the thing that scarred me the most was the trailer before Toy Story 5. There's a new Minions movie. I don't care about these Minions movies at all. They're just junk, but there's another one coming out, and there's a monster in it, and he accidentally sits down on a stack of Legos, and it gets shoved up his butt.
Oh.
And that is not the type of humor that is in this movie. I told you it's pee-pee and poo-poo humor, but it's actually done well. The Minions, that's junk. Just
Never
forget
watched
that
them.
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
you can keep not watching them.
Keep not watching them. Okay.
I have this FOMO, a fear of missing out when it comes to 3D in animated movies. I can pass on any live-action movies that say they're in 3D unless it's James Cameron with Avatar. But when they're cartoons, I always shell out the extra bucks because I feel like that's the best way to experience 3D. And Toy Story 5, the 3D's not really worth it. So I'm not going to recommend paying for it. But there's something great about tickets costing $20, $25 for a 3D movie because there's kind of a barrier there.
Yeah.
That means only people that can afford it, elitist people like us, Chris.
Well, you put it on your expense account.
Yes, of course.
Or serious Toy Story fanatics, right?
And when you pay that much money, you're going to pay attention to the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then you've got the glasses on, and it makes it really hard to look at your phone when you get bored. I didn't get bored, but I could imagine someone looking at their phone, it's all blurry. Oh, never mind. They put it back away. So it's a good barrier to entry if you do pick the 3D movie.
Is there a scene in Toy Story that really emphasizes the 3D where you're like, wow, that's cool?
Yes, there is a bunch of drones flying around that looked incredible, but I would say it's not exactly worth it throughout. The last movie I can think of that was animated that blew me away was the Ninja Turtles one that came out a couple years ago. I actually saw that one twice. I saw it once in 2D, and then I heard how good the 3D was, and I paid to see it in 3D, and it was incredible. And that's something you don't really see in at-home theater systems is 3D. So it's kind of the theatrical experience. You'll never be able to relive that again.
True.
Like I've never rewatched these Avatar movies at home, and I'd never want to watch them in 2D anyway. So it's always a special experience to see these movies in 3Ds. There's a couple things I bumped up against. The internet is really important plot point of this because you got tablets.
Right.
And I guess because the tablets are sentient, they can do things through the internet that didn't make sense at first, but I don't mind that. It's movie magic. It's toys that can talk. Just relax, okay? Don't be pretending you're doing IT.
Don't be
tech
too
squad.
critical.
Yeah. And then it kind of negates the entire ending of 4, but 4 is everyone's least favorite one. So the fact that it kind of erases 4, I have no problem with. I've never gone back and rewatched 4. So, maybe they consider it a mistake or the ending wasn't really as big of a heartbreaker as we thought. I'm not going to spoil what that one was, but once you go back and watch these, you go, oh, 4 didn't matter at all.
Let me ask you this. I've got a question for a guy who's never watched any of these Toy Story movies.
Go on.
Do the toys go to another home, or are they still in the same
They
child.
end up with other children. So
Okay,
you don't
all right.
have to worry about Andy and Sid from the first one. Because they died probably. We haven't seen them for a while.
I was always curious.
They're
Like-
buried in the grave with Slinky Dog somewhere.
Got it. All right.
I cried twice.
You did?
Come on.
I cried.
Toy Story 5?
I cried happy tears. I cried sad tears.
Okay.
And, I'm already predisposed to be very emotional when I see kids getting bullied. These Stephen King movies, they always have kids bullying each other for no reason.
They're brutal.
They do.
They're brutal.
It drives me crazy. But this one, it makes sense because once you get the tablet, it does open up some cyberbullying. And then some of these kids, they're just growing up too fast and they don't have time for imagination and playing with actual toys in their hand. All they care about is tablet.
So they attack some real world problems
I
in
think
this movie.
It's not a bad thing for your kid to see that. Once they see that you should be doing stuff with your imagination, they'll probably think twice about that.
Did you feel 10 again while you were watching the movie?
I did. I mean, these guys are like friends to me. Woody and Buzz. And with voice acting, they all end up with the same voice basically throughout. So as long as they don't die, then Tom Hanks still sounds like himself.
Yeah.
Tim Allen still sounds like
They have
himself.
AI now, so they'll live on forever.
I know. It's timeless. I give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Whoa!
That's your highest ever.
My highest ever.
That's
but
your highest ever.
if you were to bully me, I'd go down to a 4. I do respond very well to bullying. It's going to win the Oscar. I'm guaranteeing this for Best Animated. It's going to make $1 billion. It costs $250 million. That's the second most expensive animated film of all time after Tim's favorite Tangled.
So they're going to
Tangled
do
is the most
they're going to
expensive.
do just fine, huh?
They're going to do just fine. They'll make that $1 billion in 3 weeks, I bet you.
Wow.
Who knows? At least they'll make the budget. They'll make that $250 million budget back in 3 weeks. I guarantee that. I don't want to sound crazy out here.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right.
4.5 out of 5.
That's wild.
That is Joey's review of Toy Story 5. It is PG, and Joey has given it his highest rating ever to date, 4.5 toasted ravs out of 5. This is a movie for all ages, and you may shed a tear or two.
I'm crying right now just thinking about it.
All right, Toy Story 5. Go see it this weekend. Go take your dad since it's Father's Day. All right, coming up is Larry Connor's USA, the story behind the story, Father's Day. And I want to wish everyone in the audience a happy Father's Day. You have been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe. Have a great weekend and go see Toy Story.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a